Hello, my name is Mariana, and this is a reading today for Virgo. Virgo, I'm doing your reading as usual with my own tarot deck, so the cards that you'll see are from this deck. And your reading today is all about being in the in-between, Virgo. I feel like there is apparently like a mundane level of it, something that is more internal or even more personal to you, and something that is like this higher aspect of it. And it's almost like there is a little bit of a mirroring happening here. Or is it a mirroring, or it's like this perception that initially it's just in your head or in your heart, but I feel like you are in a standstill. It's almost like you are evaluating your emotions, your thoughts, the path that you came from and the path that you're headed towards, and you are in this in-between space that feels a little bit like a void, but it's not a void. It's coming through as a bridge, and I'm going to show you the card that is representing it, which is actually the opening card. But I feel like there is a higher understanding, and I don't even know if there is awareness on your part. It's almost like maybe this reading is acting as this mirror for you to be aware that there is this higher aspect of the very mundane human experience that you're having, being in this in between. What is the word? It's not exactly void. Yeah, the word will come if it has to come. So I apologize for the noise, by the way. So yeah, so we begin with the Six of Pentacles, and although this card usually being the Pentacles, being the six, meaning that it brings to me this image of a very balanced state, right? And even like a balanced financial life, a balanced or harmonious work life, home life, healthy lifestyle. But it came to me actually by the way that it fell, and it actually didn't fall on the ground. It actually fell like hanging in between my legs, and this little bag here of the astrological runes. So, and it curved, right, because of the weight of the of gravity, in a sense. So it curved and bent in a way that felt like it was hanging by the two ends. And the in-between, where you are, Virgo, I know that it's a little bit hard to really describe, because it's not an actual bridge, although with the Pentacles it's like you could be crossing a bridge and that could just bring it all to you, that you are consciously aware of what is going on. But that's not the point. Coming back to what is the message here, Virgo, this bridge felt like a very unstable, fragile, that is the better word, fragile passage, right? So it felt to me, because it was hanging very what is the word? It didn't have a lot of structure at the ends. So the bridge itself, the problem or the instability of it is not coming from the bridge itself. I mean, it's coming through as like those very plain wood bridges where you have one piece after the other after the other after the other. So in a way, yes, you have to pay attention to each step that you take, but the bridge itself is well structured. It's just the points of connection with the start of it and the end of it, which, by the way, it doesn't have like a right or wrong way of entry, right? Because it's not about that. It's like the place that you are. And I have to say here with the Five of Cups, it's like more than just a place. That's the reason why I'm saying it doesn't have to be like you crossing a bridge, right? It could be just this internal state of being that emotionally you feel like you are in between two important phases in your life. So this is where you are, and it's almost like you are making the conscious decision, or maybe an emotional decision, to just hold on, stop for a second, and it's like take a look around, and it's like evaluate what it is that you are in the middle of, right? So the void may come from being in this emotional state where it's almost like you're making this internal evaluation, right? So in a sense, it expands, or it translates outside. It's like there is something that maybe you're seeing happening on the outside that is confirming that this needed stop is showing you exactly where you are, right? It's like showing you the bridge, showing you that in this moment of pause to consider how you're feeling about this moment or this place that you are in right now is an emotional one, but also is so I feel like it's like you are taking in all of the work that, because I feel like you were the one who built the bridge, who actually, cut and sanded and prepared all of the pieces of wood to make the bridge. But I feel like there is something about taking in, especially in this more emotional side of it, of the two ends of the bridge, right? I feel like, Virgo, you were so concerned with like the details of the bridge itself that you weren't paying close attention to the end or the beginning, and vice versa, right? Or the points of connection and attachment to the land, to the soil, to the two entryways, right? So the reason why I'm saying that is because we have these two very interesting cards that they're two tens, right? And here we have the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Cups. So first of all, just to take this out of the way, in traditional tarot, right, the 10 of Swords, it's considered like the heaviest card, and then the 10 of Cups, it's like the most beneficial, uplifting card, right? So right away we have two very contrasting cards, or at least two very contrasting energies. And I feel like this is the point where when you stop, right, to just take a look around and consider where you are exactly and how you're feeling, it's not just an emotional process, although it is too, but it's also on like an internal, like a thought process consideration, right? It's not like just surrendering to your feelings and to your emotions. There is like a logic or a rationality involved in this process, right? Otherwise, why would you decide to stop in the first place, right? This is what I'm questioning right now. So I feel like there is somehow this that there is this moment to stop, consider everything that you have done, but also really pay close attention to what you have not considered because you were busy building the bridge, right? So I feel like that's the thing right now, Virgo. After maybe a lot of work, a lot of time, a lot of stress, a lot of emotions involved in building the bridge, it's like the bridge is ready, the build is secure, the bridge is built securely, right? You have done an amazing job. right? In building the bridge. It's just the attachment to the two margins of a river, or an abyss, or whatever it is, or two mountains, or whatever image you want to use, right? The two sides of the bridge. So these 2 points of connection is what you have to consider now, or what the message is indicating here. So, having said that about, the traditional energies of these 2 cards, what these 2 cards came through, actually, firstly, to me, was the moment that you stop and you hold onto the bridge and you acknowledge everything that you have built, right? And finding yourself in a place of, it's almost like if you take another step, you will lose your balance, right? So that is the reason, maybe is like fear-based movement, or decision making, but nevertheless, it's not right or wrong. That's the thing, right? So you're holding on to the bridge. You are acknowledging and taking in and considering very carefully not only where you're standing, but where you came from, but also where you're going. And actually, it's like these 2 cards are coming through as the 2 sides of the bridge, not where you came from and where you're going. It's almost like if you look, to your right or to your left, it's like it's the same river running down the stream, or passing under the bridge. But even though it's the same water, there is a clear distinction, because when you look left, this is the card that is representing this side, right? It's like the water that is coming this way. So when you look this side, it's like it's contaminated water in a sense, maybe with a lot of negative thoughts or fears, or you name it. When you look to your right, and this is all internally, right? It's like a very little movement with your head. It's like it's almost like shifting your mindset, right? Shifting your mindset, because it doesn't need to be literal. It's just the metaphor here. But when you look to your right, it's like you can see that the water has cleared. The water now is filled with blessings and love and everything that is like beautiful and desirable. Whereas when you look to this side, it's not, right? So that is one thing also. But remember, it's almost like you're taking this moment to really evaluate your life and take in a lot, maybe your entire life, right? But not just the past, but also the future. Because when you are here, it's like you are able and still enough to see this. So these are the 2 points of connection. The same way that when you were in the middle of the bridge, you held on to the rail, and then you were able to shift your head or shift your mind to the point that you could see the difference, seeing the troubled and mucky water one side and then a beautiful clear water on the other side. This is exactly the perception and the wisdom that has to come in order for you to understand where is the fragility on the points of connection between the bridge and the 2 margins of the river, right? Or the 2 sides of the bridge, meaning the entryway, one entryway and the other the exit, or vice versa. But here it's coming through as this movement, right? So this lining up like this is giving me a different perspective, and I feel like this is all evolving while you are in this place. And I know this is going to be a long reading, because we haven't even seen the 3 bottom line cards. So here, this direction is coming from everything that you have been through, right? Past experiences. And it's almost like they are carrying a heavy load, right? Here, it feels like there is a future version of yourself that is coming to meet you here where you are. It's almost like this is your present version, this is your past version, and this is your future version. And both of them are coming to meet you in the middle because you are in this in between. So where you came from and where you're going, these two versions of yourself are coming to meet you in the middle of the bridge, right? Because it's the safe bridge that you have built, right? So the stability is the bridge itself, not these two entry points or exits or whatever, right? So there is a clear distinction here that you are leaving or that you are coming from a highly stressful situation, or, you know, very mentally triggering situation, like a very anxious phase of your life, or, you know, some sort of mental disorder or not balanced, right? And here it's like the ultimate happiness, right? It's like the two ends of a spectrum come to meet you in the middle, right? It's like visiting your lowest point and your highest point, but they are you, right, in two moments of your life, and you get to choose really what is the entryway and what is the exit, because you're now in the middle. So you could either go back and that could be the exit, even though you enter that way, or you could just keep on going and meet this version of yourself that maybe you haven't thought is possible, but it's here visiting you, coming from the future to meet you in the middle, and maybe, you know, say goodbye to this phase and greet you to this phase. So, you know, we could do a reading just on this, but to get even more, not complicated, but, and not even more complex, but more divine or more multidimensional or more spiritual, we have these three major arcana, right? And so here we have the High Priestess, the World, and the Devil. And even though, you know, this World card is coming through as pretty neutral, and these two cards are coming through as having a little bit of this contrast, right, that we saw here. And although maybe you're expecting that I'm going to say that this High Priestess has the beautiful connotation associated with the Ten of Cups, and then the Devil is associated with the Ten of Swords, it's actually the opposite, because they're not coming through with their traditional meanings. They're coming through more visually as understanding what is keeping you apart from these two versions of yourself, from these two phases of your life, and feeling like you are, like your life is on pause maybe, but it's more than that. It's almost like maybe you're thinking that this pondering phase is taking forever, or it's too emotional that you don't know which side to turn to, right? Maybe you do. It's almost like, but you don't have the not the urge, but the strength to pick one side or to move, right? I'm not seeing you moving at all. And maybe we'll see that in the extended. It's going to be a long reading today, Virgo. But so let's talk about this High Priestess. With this, what is this? It's a sword. maybe we're talking about the sword. But these two shapes, right? They were talking about the two margins and something coming from inside the river or from the bottom of this void, this in between, that is coming to break the bridge, right? So in a sense, this High Priestess was talking about maybe you feel like you know too much, maybe you feel like you have seen too much or too far ahead of your future, that you are afraid that is going to be this instead of this. flying cards today. So this High Priestess is, it's not that it's deceiving. It's almost like maybe you are scared of your own power of knowing, right? Of your own wisdom. And because it feels, through this image, it feels like it could break at any point, right? It's like, remember, you are over this bridge, just hanging by a thread, like the connection that is attaching this and making this still, in a sense, right? It's very fragile, but you feel like, if you have this perception that any type of further knowing, or future vision, or just this gathering some knowledge and wisdom, it's going to break this minimum stability that you have found, right, in the middle of this bridge. And I feel like this, it's almost like this this feels to you like corrupting your world, right? Not only because we have the devil that brings a little bit of a corruption, but because of the world here. Remember, this is a neutral card for you in this configuration, right? But this world card is talking about like being in between worlds and afraid of breaking the connection, right? But it's almost like you are afraid that if you take another step, it's like the connection to the land, right? Either side, it's like it's not strong enough. So you are afraid of knowing more, right? And to pursue any type of further vision that could break this very fragile connection, right? So obviously this is a metaphor, right? It has a lot of room for interpretation and for you to feel how this fits for you, Virgo. But here, the interesting thing about this devil, which I never saw it this way, and I guess it's because of the double meaning of, these two cards too. This was showing me a path coming this way and then a path going this way. So it has nothing to do, it's like, those types of images that if you see it one way, it's like it's really hard for you to see it the first way. It's like, they're not horns, is that the name? They're not, it's like, this is the path that you came through. This is the point of connection that you are right now that feels very fragile. And this is it's almost like the mirrored, that's the reason why I was talking about, maybe it is a mirror. So it's like a mirror path that is, it's not reflecting this one, but you feel like you are in such a fragile point, right, in between worlds, that maybe you don't want to know anymore. Maybe you don't want to do any sort of emotional or mental or logical or rational or spiritual evaluation, right? Or familial evaluation. It's like any sort of knowing, it's like you want to block it, because it's almost like being the in-between is fragile enough that you don't want to be corrupted by good or bad. It's like it's independently on if it's like coming from a good source or a bad source. It's like you don't want to be you don't want to make any decisions. It's like you don't want to move in any direction, right? It's like you want to keep, it's like maybe you just want to shut down these two energies, right? It's like you don't want to be on either end of the spectrum, right? Or you don't want to be your lowest self or your highest self. It's like you just want to stay in between. You just want to stay like, well, maybe this is what really gives you the sensation of being balanced, right? Of feeling balanced, right? It's like it really doesn't matter where you entered and where you're going to exit this bridge. It's like you don't want to go out, it's like, or enter anywhere else. It's like you just want to stay on the bridge. You want to stay in this in between, right? Because it's almost like in this bridge or in this void, it's like you are protected, or you are in a bubble of protection that will not go either way, right? To your highest connection or to your lowest connection. It's like you are protected in the middle. So this is quite interesting, Virgo. I don't know where this is going to lead, but we'll see. I'm going to pull more cards for you. And also I'm going to pull from the astrological runes in the extended reading. So if you want to join me there, I'll be happy to see you. If not, I'll see you next time. Okay, bye.